To understand what someone is thinking, you need to master 3 key techniques. By learning these methods, you can easily figure out what anyone is pondering. Here is a Buddhist tale that will teach you how to read others' minds. A long time ago, in a small village, there were 2 brothers. The older brother was blind and spent most of his time at home, while the younger brother worked as a farmer. Their farm faced constant destruction from animals, which troubled the younger brother. He eventually thought of a solution. He would ask his blind brother to help. The plan was to have the blind brother sit in the field and shout whenever he heard animal sounds. This would scare the animals away and protect their crops. So, the younger brother built a small hut in the field and placed the older brother inside it. He explained, "Brother, if you hear any animal sounds, just shout, and the animals will run away. This will save our crops." The older brother agreed and began sitting in the field. Whenever he heard an animal, he shouted, scaring them away. They continued this practice for many days. One day, a deer ran through the field, breaking the fence before fleeing. Shortly after, a king who was hunting the deer arrived at the field. He saw the blind brother and asked, "Have you seen a deer here?" The blind brother replied, "Your Majesty, I am blind and cannot see a deer. However, I can tell you that the animal that left my field is not worth pursuing. You are wasting your time." The king was astonished and asked how the blind brother knew this. The king wondered if the blind brother was lying about his blindness, but speaking knowledgeably about the deer. The blind brother explained, "Your Majesty, the animal you are chasing is actually a pregnant doe. I have never heard of a king hunting a pregnant doe, so I am telling you that she is not worth your pursuit. You should not waste your time chasing her." The king was amazed and wanted to verify this information. He instructed his commander to capture the doe alive and confirm whether she was pregnant. The commander followed the king's orders and reported back that the blind brother was correct. The doe was indeed pregnant. The king was overjoyed, but puzzled about how the blind man knew this. The king decided to question the blind brother directly. "I may not know if you are truly blind or not, but I want to ask you one thing. Will you answer my question truthfully?" The blind brother agreed to answer any question. The king asked, "You are wise and seem to understand many things. Today, I want to know if my wife is faithful to me." The blind brother responded, "Your Majesty, why are you asking this question after so many years of marriage? However, if you want an answer, you must do me a favor." The king agreed and asked what needed to be done. The blind brother said, "You must leave your wife alone with me in a room." Although the king was initially angry, he eventually agreed and instructed his commander to leave the blind brother and the queen alone in a room. The blind brother then requested to touch the queen. This request enraged the queen, and she began to beat the blind brother with all her might. After the blind brother managed to escape, he went to the king and said, "Your Majesty, your wife is unfaithful." The king, furious, demanded the queen's confession. When she admitted her infidelity, the king was thrilled because the blind brother's words were true. The king then asked the blind brother how he knew about the queen's unfaithfulness. The blind brother explained, "Your Majesty, I am blind by nature. To understand someone's thoughts, I have to rely on their actions. I observed how the queen reacted when I asked to touch her. Her violent reaction showed her true feelings and indicated her unfaithfulness. She could have simply refused, but instead became angry and violent, which revealed her lack of loyalty." The king was impressed and asked how he could also understand people's thoughts. The blind brother replied, You can learn to understand people's thoughts too, but first, you need to focus your mind and bring it into the present. Only then can you accurately read others' thoughts. If your mind is distracted by past events, you cannot understand what others are thinking in the present. The blind brother then shared 3 methods to understand others' thoughts. 1. Pay attention to the eyes. The eyes reveal a lot about a person's thoughts. If someone avoids eye contact, they may be hiding something or lying. If they make direct eye contact, they are likely honest and engaged. Notice changes in pupil size, eyebrow movement, and the sclera, white part of the eye, to gauge their feelings. 2. Observe facial expressions. A person's face shows their feelings, whether they speak or not. A downturned mouth and furrowed brows often indicate sadness or worry, while a genuine smile shows happiness. The face can reveal what a person is feeling inside, even if they try to hide it. 3. Understand body language and gestures. Body language and gestures also communicate thoughts. For example, someone tapping their fingers may be bored or impatient, while crossed arms can indicate defensiveness. Leaning forward shows interest, and touching the face may signal worry or deep thought. By focusing on these signs and understanding their meanings, you can gain insight into a person's thoughts and feelings. However, to do this effectively, you must first focus your mind and be present. Only then can you accurately interpret these signals and understand what others are thinking. This tale emphasizes that by observing others carefully and understanding their silent signals, we can gain deeper insights into their true thoughts and feelings.